Welcome back to another video. So today we are back to talk more Chainsaw Man, and this chapter, this chapter was really funny. I ain't gonna lie. There's not a lot that happens, but there's some stuff that we can talk about. That happens in the chapter that we learned, like basically more confirmation about, and we learn more about Hirofumi's goals and stuff like that. Basically, what how like his whole plan is with Denji. But it's a really funny chapter. There's not a lot of stuff that happens, but we should get into it and just start talking about it. So the chapter starts off with a whole protest. We see a protest of basically people that are anti-Chainsaw Man, and Hirofumi's basically explaining to Denji that these protesters are basically calling for public safety. They treat Chainsaw Man as a devil and to put him down. And Denji's like, why? I've like saved people, like I'm a good boy. That's what he says. And Hirofumi says because they don't like you. And he also explains that there's also other protesters that are in support of you that are part of the Chainsaw Man church group, and they're also fighting the people that don't like you. And Denji's like, why are they fighting? Hirofumi explains, it's because they like you. And then Denji says, feels kind of nice having people fight over me. And then Hirofumi continues to explain. He says, before the Chainsaw Man church consisted largely of your fans and devil victims. Now there's a bunch of young people joining just to join, and that the group's membership has now exceeded 20,000 people. He says the bulk of them are in school and eventually they'll be old enough to vote. And apparently politicians are already trying to send supplies to the church so that they basically can get their votes. And Hirofumi tells Denji, you no longer have sole control over Chainsaw Man. Hopefully it would stop at these smaller protests, but there was a chance of Chainsaw Man mania evolving into a larger conflict. And Denji asks like Hirofumi, like, and what I gotta do to see Naita and the dogs? And then Hirofumi says, I want you to do absolutely nothing. And Denji's like, what that mean? And Hirofumi says, I'm asking you to never transform into Chainsaw Man again. And as soon as he says that, we see Denji's face, and he has this face of like disgust, this like awful face, and he just says, nah, I'm not gonna do it. And then Hirofumi just says it straight up. He says, if you keep turning into Chainsaw Man, we'll be showing you Naita's corpse. And when Denji hears that, he's like shocked. He's like, dang. And then Hirofumi's like, I heard that you want to live a normal life. And he says, if you stop transforming the Chainsaw Man, you can keep Naita and everything will come true. You can be human. You'll go to school. I'll even be your friend. You'll be able to hang out with your dogs and Naita. And he's like, won't you be happy not being Chainsaw Man? And when I first read this page, I was like, would Denji be happy more not being Chainsaw Man? Because in part one, he was really like, dang, I don't want to be Chainsaw Man. But in part two, I think he's found like a new love for being Chainsaw Man and just loves being Chainsaw Man. And also Naita like basically like eggs him on to be Chainsaw Man. So like she's also like a big supporter of him being Chainsaw Man as well. And then we flip to the next page and we see Denji is struggling. Like this man saying, but I really want to be Chainsaw Man. I want everybody to pay attention to me. Like he's sweating and shit. Like he's looked like this is like the hardest decision he's ever made in his life. And Hirofumi's like, do you not understand me? Like, yo, if you turn to Chainsaw Man, we will kill Naita. And he says public safety, which is really, really cool. This confirms that Hirofumi is still working with public safety from part one, and he's not part of like some brand new secret society or whatever. He's still working with public safety. And this is definitely like a different form of public safety after the whole Makima incident at the end of the show. So I'm assuming the whole like society has like reshaped and basically rechanged into everything. And Hirofumi is like probably like one of the bigger agents, which is crazy though. I want to know. I should stop. I'm going to talk more about it later at the end of after we finish recapping the chapter. But there's a lot more questions I have now that it's confirmed that Hirofumi is part of public safety. And so we flip to the next page, and Denji's like, I don't want that either, but I also don't want to stop being Chainsaw Man. I want people to fight protesters for him. He likes that people are willing to basically die for him. Like, he just like, man, I love this attention. And Hirofumi's like, look, bro, the time has come for you to choose between Naita's life and your greedy desires. And then Denji is like, no, I got two choices. I choose both options. And then Hirofumi's like, no, you can only choose one. And then Denji's like, no, I can choose both. And then this is the first time we see Hirofumi sweat. And it's so funny because every time Hirofumi and Denji talk, Hirofumi is just like perplexed by how Denji thinks. Like I remember when they first started talking, and remember when Denji just started eating the cake without the fork, and Hirofumi was like, yo, if you listen to me, I'll give you the fork. And Denji was like, bro, I don't need no fork to eat, and just started eating with his hands, and Hirofumi was like in shock. This is what this chapter basically reminds me of. And you see Hirofumi just sweating and shit. And then Denji's like, protesters assemble, kill this guy for me. Like he just starts like screaming while this protesting fight is happening, basically trying to get like the protesters to kill Hirofumi. They don't hear Denji at all, which is hilarious. And we see Hirofumi like start going crazy, start smiling, and he's like, oh my god, this man is so dumb, I can't do this. And then we actually hear someone say Denji's name from far away, and it's actually Naita. and the dogs. And so Denji runs up to Nayata, hugs her and stuff like that. And it's like an agent of the public safety with the dogs and Nayata basically. And then like Denji and Nayata have a little talk, and then Hirofumi is like telling the agent like, "Yo, why did you bring her so early?" And the agent's like, "You're not done yet, like, bro, come on." And then Hirofumi's like sweating like hard. He's like, "Yo, listen to me, Denji. You were about to choose Nayata's life and get sent home together." He's like, "You still have a choice. You gotta make this choice." And he's like, whatever. This doesn't like. He's basically like, whatever. This must have proven it to you. If you turn to Chainsaw Man, public safety will kill Nayata. And then Nayata's like, "Excuse me?" He's like, Nayata's like, "Denji, come get this man. Please tell him off, bro." And then like Hirofumi and Denji look at each other with like serious faces. And then like Denji's like, "Alright, bro, you done?" Then he's like, "We done? I'm going home, bro. We're done." And then Denji and Nayata start walking away with the dog. And then the last page, this is the last page of the chapter. Hirofumi's like, "Bro, this man did not understand me." And like, bro, I was not expecting a lot of information for this chapter, but this chapter was really funny. I ain't gonna lie, because I was like, I just love whenever. This is why Denji one of my favorite MCs, bro. Because like, there's always scenes in like anime or manga whenever a character has to stop being a character, like when Ichigo had to stop being a Soul Reaper. Or like, not, it's not really in Dragon Ball that happened, but like, I'm trying to think of other examples. That's like the biggest example I can think of where like a character has to stop doing something or they're at risk of doing something else. And it's cool that in this situation we're kind of going through the same thing, but it's funny because like you can see Denji didn't automatically be like, "Okay, I'll stop being Chainsaw Man because Nayata's life is at risk." Like he's gonna do that right now. I think he's actually gonna like stop being Chainsaw Man because Nayata's life at risk for a little bit. I have theories about what's gonna happen, but like, it's just funny that like it took him so long to be like, "Alright, bro, I guess I won't be Chainsaw Man to save Nayata's life." Like he was struggling, he was going through it. But there's some things I want to talk about in this chapter. So this chapter is not crazy. We do have another chapter in 7 days, so we don't have to wait long for the next chapter. But let's talk about. I think there's 3 things I want to talk about. First thing we'll talk about in order: the protest. So we already kind of knew that like the whole like Chainsaw Man protesting thing was a thing, especially the ones that are in support of Chainsaw Man, especially in the last chapter, especially when Haruka, Feimin, and who I think to be fake Chainsaw Man are basically like trying to like make the hype around Chainsaw Man higher, or make people either more supportive of Chainsaw Man or more like afraid of Chainsaw Man. And that's been a big thing. So it's actually cool to see that like there's 2 sides of the coin of the Chainsaw Man support. There's either the people that support Chainsaw Man and are basically like diehards and basically like cult people, like people that are just like people going crazy, and there's people that are like anti Chainsaw Man that are like, "Yo, we gotta kill him. He's a devil. He's like bad for the environment," and stuff like that. So that was pretty funny to see. It's actually very interesting to see. The next thing I'm gonna talk about is, so the last time I'm gonna talk about is the whole Hirofumi thing. So we learned in the chapter that Hirofumi is definitely part of public safety, and I think this like basically confirms. I think Hirofumi's a good guy. I don't think Hirofumi's like a bad guy or a secret evil guy or anything. He's basically an agent of the public safety, and basically their goal right now is to make sure that there's not like a riot or a big like commotion over the whole Chainsaw Man fight. And it's only because of the protesting. Like they're fine with Chainsaw Man. They were fine with Chainsaw Man fighting devils and stuff like that, but the reason now they have to stop Denji from being Chainsaw Man is because like it's causing a lot of riots, it's causing a lot of damage, because not because of Denji specifically, he like Denji stopping the devils, but it's because of like people protesting about it and people actually getting into fights and riots over it. And so that's why he's telling Denji like, "Yo, we gotta stop that." And there's a thing I want to talk about in this chapter that I thought was really interesting. Since Hirofumi is still part of public safety, and I'm assuming he's like a bigger agent now, I wonder what happened to Kishibe. If you don't remember, at the end of part 1, Kishibe survived. And remember, Kishibe was one of the main leaders of the anti-Makima task force, basically. And it's like one of the reasons, like, Denji's the reason they beat Makima. But Kishibe was basically like the main one that came up with the plan to like stop Makima before Denji stopped Makima and stuff like that. And even helped Denji like basically get Nayata, basically get the dogs and stuff like that. So I think Kishibe is on a vacation or something. Cause I think he said at the end of part 1 that he wants to take a break or something, or like he's gonna go out and go take a break. So I don't know if he's part of this public safety, but if he was, I don't know if he would be in support of like, oh, like not Denji being Chainsaw Man, because Denji basically saved the world and basically stops the devils and stuff like that, and also he likes Denji and likes how crazy it is. So I don't think that like this decision is made by like Kishibe, and basically like for me confirms that like Kishibe is like not part of the public safety right now and still like on his mini vacation or whatever. So that was very, very interesting that I like seeing. And the last thing I want to talk about is that this plan that Hirofumi has is very, very interesting because it's not going to work. And it's not going to work because there's 2 Chainsaw Men. So I think what's going to happen is that I think Fujimoto is basically setting up another mini arc to where Denji's going to basically like disappear from the limelight and not be the main character for a little bit. Well, he's never, like, this part he's not the main character. This part he's basically like the co-star, you know, if you get what I'm saying. But I think we're going to go back to basically, the next chapter is going to basically be Asa, I think. Because, like, right now, we're basically, like, going back through a mini part of the story where, like, Denji's not going to be Chainsaw Man. He's going to be, like, going to school and stuff like that. Like, he's, like, cause he's not supposed to turn into Chainsaw Man. Like, that's the goal. And I think that, like, he's gonna, the next arc gonna be basically, like, going back to being Asa. We're gonna see more Asa and stuff like that. But, like, this plan that Hirofumi came up with is not going to work because, one, there's 2 Chainsaw Men. So even if Denji stops being Chainsaw Man, there's still another Chainsaw Man out there that's still going to kill devils and act a fool and stuff like that. And it's going to cause people to riot still. Like, it's still going to happen. So I can't wait to see when Hirofumi and Denji find out. Well, Denji already knows their second Chainsaw Man, but I want to know how Hirofumi's going to feel about it. And there might be, like, maybe a misunderstanding where, like, Hirofumi's like, I told you to stop being Chainsaw Man, and Denji's like, I did. And then they both see, like, the second Chainsaw Man come out, and he's like, I told you I wasn't Chainsaw Man, there's another one of me, or something like that. I think that's gonna happen soon. And it's just surprising that, like, Hirofumi doesn't know about second Chainsaw Man. And it's crazy that in this chapter, Denji also didn't tell Hirofumi that there's a second Chainsaw Man. Like, yo, I'm not the only Chainsaw Man out here, so technically, to be honest, it doesn't really matter if I stop being Chainsaw Man, because there's still another Chainsaw Man out there. So that's crazy as well. And I think that's basically, like, I think that's everything I want to talk about for this chapter. I talked about the whole, like, protest thing. I talked about Kishibe. I talked about how, like, how I think the next arc is gonna go, and how, like, this whole, like, plan that Hirofumi has is not gonna work because it's 2 Chainsaw Man. So, like, the riots and the protests are still gonna continue because there's a second Chainsaw Man out there that's still gonna be killing devils and stuff like that, even though Denji's not going to. So that was basically the end of the chapter. This is a really funny chapter. There's not a lot of information that came out. Like I said, there's basically the only 3 things I can really think about that I wanted to talk about that came out this chapter. Is more like a comedy chapter, and basically setting up, like, how Denji's not gonna be is gonna try to not be Chainsaw Man for a little bit. And the next chapter comes out in 7 days, so we don't have to wait long once again. So I'm very, very excited for next week, and I will be here next week again. So thank you guys for watching the video. Leave a like, subscribe, and see more content like this, and hit that bell post consistently. And like I said, let me know down below anything you thought about this video or anything you thought about from this chapter. Like, this chapter was really, really funny. So just let me know down below what you think, and I'm gonna see you guys next time. Peace.